All right, here we have a French oil 4-post vision press. This is a 30-ton platen press with heated platens. And what makes this press special is that it is programmable, meaning you can type in that you want it to go to 12 tons for X amount of minutes at X temperature, and then it will go to a second set point, and you type that in. And then there's a proportional hydraulic system there that's controlled by the PLC. So it's more advanced than a standard platen press. So the platens are heated electrically and cooled with water. So you can see the two orange little reservoirs back there. And there's solenoids that control the water flow if it calls for cooling. And then, so we'll go around the front again. Obviously it has this safety cage around it with limit switches in the doors that prevent it from working if the door is open. It's I think it's 15 by 15 platens. There's 12 to 18 inches of daylight, and then that is adjustable. With these collars up here. Actually, I take that back. It's only it's probably only 10 to 14 inches of daylight. And then there's the proximity switches that you need to use here to adjust between where the platens are, where you set them in order to engage and disengage the high speed and slow speed. There's the relief valve used for the manual operation. And the front of this panel just has a 110 outlet with your Ethernet port here. And then inside just a standard control cabinet. You can see the PLC controller. And then there's the proportional controller. All right, so coming over to the controls, it has this really nice Maple Systems touchscreen, and when it's operating, you'll see when we start operating it, it produces a graph with temperature and pressure, and it shows you the actual temperature versus the desired temperature. And then you select from, I think, up to 6 different recipes. So let's just say currently we're at recipe 2. And then you can have 2 segments in your recipe. So we'll go ahead and go to the screen that shows you how to program the recipes. So you have 2 segments. So we have the pressure set at 300 for the first and 500 for the second. And then your ramping rate you can also select. So that's 400 psi per minute. And then the hold temperature and the hold time in minutes. So we just made a really quick recipe, so it would just be more appropriate for the video. So it's going to operate at 300 psi for 1 minute, and then 500 at 1 minute. And it has to achieve the temperature and pressure in order to start the timer. So you'll see that the timer won't start right away until the temperature evens out and the pressure.
Explain 300 psi.
So this pressure, 300 psi, is the pressure in pounds per square inch on your tool. So that's not in tons of force. So what it's doing is you type in the dimensions of your tool from left to right, let's say 3.5 inches. We have some 4x4s in there, by the front to back, which is 13 inches. So it's calculating what you're entering here is PSI on your size tool in there. So you'll see that, you know, if the maximum that the machine would do to put 30 tons on that size, you would need to set that at 1300. So we're operating the machine at about a third of what it's rated at right now. And we have the temperature just set at 100, just so we're not melting things. So we'll go ahead and go to the actual cycle, and we'll just start a cycle here. So it is in manual mode now, so you can just go up and down with the buttons. But we'll go back here to auto, press auto, and we don't have any water going to it, so we don't have the cooling on. So we'll just go ahead and hit close press, and it will start this cycle. All right, so it made contact with the tool, the blocks of wood, and we go over here and we watch the pressure rise. So we're watching these figures rise. So the tool set point is 300 psi, and then the press set point is 695. Now that psi is psi of hydraulic pressure. So it takes about 700 hydraulic pounds in order to get 300 psi on your tool. And you hear it working a little bit, so we're going up. The tool is almost at the 300, we're at 293, and the hydraulic pressure is at 680. So it's just equalizing a little bit, and then we will start to see our hold time start counting down from a minute. And then I think we can do something here, and we can make this graph larger. So up here, the colors are terrible. You can't really see them, but it says we're at 6.8 tons right now. Oh, well, this is the hydraulic status. Here's a run timer for, I think, changing the oil or the filters. And we'll go back to cycle status. All right, so we see that the dwell time has started, so it's counting down. So now the pressure is increasing to the second segment. set point is the 500, and the actual is 530. It's a little high there, but we did absolutely no calibration. There's a whole calibration menu for calibrating the pressure sensors. And then the 1 minute dwell is counting down. And you can see that there was the first ramp up, and it was right at whatever we said, 7 or 8 tons, and now we're at about 12. You can see that this whole time expired, but the temperature didn't start because it didn't like, I guess, what temperature it was at, so it started slightly offset to this one. And there's, in the recipe menu, you can make all those changes. We didn't look greatly into that part of it, but just for the highest accuracy of your segments, you can set, you know, what you want it to prioritize. You want the pressure or the temperature. So we're almost done with this cycle. And there it just ended the cycle. So there you have this vision machine. And again, the most important feature of this is that it is programmable, in that you can digitally set 2 pressures. Other less capable machines, you can have 2 set points, but they're done mechanically with 2 separate regulators. But this, you could set it at anything in the range of the machine digitally, hence being a programmable press.